Rottweiler taking little man to a game shop. His J. Antagon Salamander's character came in, and I need to find a dude with a cape. That's right, baby. Literally 1,000 Space Marines have capes. It's not hard. Alright, you guys ready? Okay, so let's go over it. Well, I need to launch some shit first. Okay, so we did all this airbrushing, and now we're just going section by section using the patented next level painting wet glazing over airbrushing system, which is secretly fucking easy. And as a reminder, the reason it is so easy is because we know what colors we use, right? We know what paints we used. So it's normally when I'm doing anything with gray, it's just black and white, right? I'm going to usually put down some black, which, you know, is the dark, in case that's elusive to you, and then the light. And we know that everything in between these piles is gray, right? So normally I don't really use gray that much, but in the quantity that I'm going to be pulling, I will use this neutral gray, which, you know, if you think about it, it's just for convenience. Because this neutral gray is literally these two exact paints mixed together, okay? But that's just a convenience factor, right? In between the two. You don't need it, but sometimes it is convenient to have. Now, so that's my value scale of everything on this guy that I have already painted. Where the blue hue comes from, that coolness factor, is straight turquoise. Where we just injected some of that turquoise into the mix at some point, and allowed this value gradient to become cool. So it's a desaturated version of this because of the grayscale. But with the airbrush, a lot of the blue comes through with the way I airbrushed it. And you see I'm taking my time to kind of grade up a little bit as I move through and define the rocks. But it's so easy because it's these colors, these paints. So coverage is not required, just highlighting and shading. That's it. So we did all that and we did this almost all of this in one session, plus some airbrushing. So we're gonna just jump right into it right now. You know, with a lengthy amount of discussion on books, burning up the clock a little bit, which I apologize for. Saturday rules. Let's see how much we can get done. Sacred Feth, not the liner if you can avoid it. The liner is really long bristles. You want the round. We just rinse excess soap off here. I'm going to start with our number 4. And we're going to do what I call wet glazing. And the definition of glazing is low opacity, low moisture. And the definition of a wet blend is high opacity, some moisture. A wet glaze is wet blending with too much water. Okay, because if you wet blend with too much water, the opacity just doesn't have enough ash to do anything. But if you're using the same exact paints over an already established set of gradients, it will. And the wetter the paint, the easier it is to get capillary blends to occur. So using your airbrush in conjunction will get you the results you want much easier, much faster. So we're going to start by just blocking in this shoulder right here. And he's a big boy, so I think I could just kind of lay him out right here. And I think I could probably just do most of the blocking in right here. And I want to see if I can frame it in such a way where you can see my palette too easily. So we're going to create some artificial contrast. Old rusty boy, what's up, man? So, a little moisture. So I'm just I'm going to go with my heart. And like I said, I know everything on this is some combination of these paints, right? So some version of this, darker and brighter, is this whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start like dropping off little spots that I can wet blend off of, and I'm going to start defining shapes. So like right here, I can see that there is a shape right here, like a triangle piece. And so part of my goal is to kind of re-gray this up. So I'm going to just hit this triangle right here. Okay. Important to kind of reset every now and then. And so now that I've got that triangle right there, it's all wet, semi-opaque. I'll grab some of the white. Maybe a little of the blue. And I will just drop a highlight right here using the heart pull strategy. And it's because it's so wet, it's going to just blend right in there. And if I use light brush pressure and some stippling, I get a pretty nice and easy little blend that I want to go a little harder. Here's a little bit more white. There you go. So now I've got like my first slice right there. Okay. Real easy. Now here's like a little like hot dog strip right here. And I'm just going to define that shape. Okay. Here's a little bit of that white mix right here. And it's real wet. It just blends right in. And I want a little bit more opacity. I'm going to jump in right here again. Right here. Okay, now I'm going to rinse. Grab almost black, a little bit wetter. I'm going to make sure to put in a better shadow right here. Right here. And we're going to move over to this side now. You see this one, that's exactly how we did all this. So I'm creating nice little dramatic, like, you know, just jacked muscle groups of stone. And I'm doing it all with broad strokes right now, and I'll use the small brush to ramp them up. So here's a shape right here. It's kind of like almost a circle right here. Pick up some of the highlight. Just stipple it in right here. Pick up some of the dark stuff. Every now and then you gotta kind of get the rest of that paint off your brush because it's just gonna keep infiltrating your blend. A little stipple. Now I'm not gonna worry about it too much because I know I'm gonna do some extra detail work later. Okay, here's a fun shape right here. Kind of like a chair. I'll get this spike while I'm at it. And you don't really have to paint all of it. That's the cool thing. You get really easy blends when you're keeping it wet like this. Let's go back in time a little darker. Move around to this side. Let's move it down right here. Get a little bit more of our gray going. Keeping it semi-opaque, a little wet. Yo, One Riser, what's up, brother? Moving right here. Here's a little fun shape. Lay that down. Let's go much blacker. Let's kind of just get a nice shadow built in to define these two edges right here. Okay. Let's pop into our highlight. Just bring it right in. See that? And just like that, we'll just start to transform the rock on this guy. Because like I've mentioned before, you know, your instinct might be to wash, dry brush. You can do that, but you're never going to get it this jacked. So this right here is just a few minutes of fun wet glazing. And we're not even doing all that much if you really take stock. We're not even getting that much coverage. Plenty of our initial airbrushing is still there poking through. We're not even max opacity with this. We're just interacting with what's already established. And I'm deliberately making sure we're staying a little bit on the gray side here because I want to desaturate my blues a little bit more. See, I'm just kind of making shapes up. You see this shit? We'll go a little darker here. So I'll just sketch that in. A little stipple. Stipple the donut. Little stipple. Get some right there, right there. Go back to the mid game. Very wet. Semi-opaque. Let's get a little whiter. Right there. Let's get back to the mid game. Just gonna disperse right there. Down here. Kind of just a bunch of bullshit down here. Get a little bit right here. Get a little bit of moisture. Stipple, stipple, stipple. And I'm going to do the rest of the definition with my little brush, and you'll see. So that's an out of focus snapshot. Okay. Got some nice drama in there. And what we'll do now, grab the little brush, and we're going to use some standard pin washing edge highlighting techniques, okay? So what I'll do is I'll grab the black and the blue, so we'll make a nice dark black blue. Right here, semi-opaque and a little wet. And what we're going to do is we're going to just sketch out the shadows, right? Kind of trace things. So right here, we're going to define this underlip of this rock formation right here using the heart pull strategy. Pow. Okay, this right here, there's a little crevasse right there. We're going to move in right here. And we are respecting the fact that we're using these grays and blues because I'm using the same sequence. By lowering the opacity, you're getting it to blend in easier. By keeping it wet, I'm able to kind of like lock it into these little crevices and just kind of drag it in those little gutters. And it just kind of sinks right in. When I do pin washing, I almost never use a wash product. I use the wash technique. Semi-opaque and a little wet. So I can be pretty free artistically with this process and take opportunity to artistically license myself to kind of do anything I want here. I'm going to get that seam right here, right along the trim that is questionably even there, that we decided was. See that right there? Making some wild decisions. Some stippling right there. Right there. Pow, pow, pow. I mean, it's insanity, right? It's madness, son. Run it back here. I'm gonna get a little blacker to cut in this trim a little bit more precise. Okay, now we're gonna invert it, right? We're gonna flip this script. Let's get some white, gray, blue. Keeping the opacity a little higher. Top shelf highlights to help generate more three-dimensional effects. So like right here, this formation, treat it like three-dimensional scratches. So we want a nice bright line on top. You see? Pow! Here, same thing. So shadow cast, that ledge catches the highlight. We're going to trace up right against the trim here. And we're respecting the highlight sequence here. We're not going super white just yet. We're just building up our intention to go to super white. See that? And you can take this opportunity to lower the opacity a little bit, make like a glaze. And you can kind of stipple in a little deeper if you want with a lower opacity mix. Make it a broader highlight. But ultimately, we're going to go to pretty much pure white here in a second. Like so. Give some nice, and the thing is, all of that rock shape is there. Like that's, I'm just exaggerating it. Like all of that is in the sculpt. If I turn the light down because I'm washing it out a little bit, you see. Now again, could dry brush it, could wash it. Never gonna look like that. But contrast doesn't mean graphic art lines. It just means that your dark stuff is dark and your bright stuff is bright, and I can see everything in between. So you can still do it with dry brushing and washing pretty good, honestly. And if you want to dry brush a guy like this because you don't want to get into this time sink, just make sure you take the time to do it slowly and precisely with the right dry brushes. Okay, let's move over here. Let's get our more respectful highlight going. So these are softer bellies, so I'm gonna have to kind of stipple right up in the center of the shape, right there. Sunshine Grenadier, my dude! Exclamation point raw, my dude likes it raw. And I get some strong man love in the chat for the legendary Sunshine Grenadier. My dude is on point with the sickest Deathcore Krieg Grenadier logo in the game. So I'm just kind of stippling in the softer bellies there. I'm painting it just like how I would paint muscles, you know? Just like a fucked up anatomy. center mass on these round joints. I'm going to split the difference a little bit darker here. And then I'm going to get a little bit more precise here, just 1 second. So I'm going to get a lot more white going. Sunshine Grenadier, check it out. Just high opacity, low moisture. Right there. Move in right here. Let's just kind of just hit the outside and just take some creative license on our approach to that. Now he's got this spike protruding from his arm. So we're probably going to just kind of trace the spine. Right there. Right there. Rotate. Maybe make a fake line right here. Kind of separate it at the base right there. Vile Needs, my dude. What's up, homie? Now, going back in time for a step, lower the opacity a little bit. Vile Needs, I'm back, bitches. Yo, how was your trip? Let's get a little bit more white in the game right there. Sunshine Grenadier. Exclamation point raw again. My man likes it raw as fuck. There we go. Let's rotate back. Okay, let's get a nice clean line right here. High opacity, low moisture. Heart pull strategy right there. Ping. And we're finding that edge that defines our non-existent shoulder pad. Because I took some creative liberty to decide all that's like shoulder pad when it's like almost, it's basically melted armor. You know, there's like slag and stuff. And we're like, nope. Nope, nope, nope. We're not doing that. We're doing our own thing. So, got to kind of pay the price. Let's get a little darker here. Blend that in a little bit better. Chris, what's up, man? A little grayer right there, less white. See, just finding the shapes. Some stipples. This one's tricky because I have to kind of make this one up. Right there. Under highlight right here. Rotate. Right there. Now I have to kind of work that, those little whiskers I drew there basically, I have to kind of work that out. So it needs to be a little softer. So I went back to gray. I need to pick up a little bit of our black mix. Vile Needs, this model is lit. It is, brother. Free STLs, exclamation point mammoth. Going back to the darker mix, kind of pin washing some shadow work on top. There we go. Just kind of having to make that one up as we go. Let's move in right here. Going with a lower opacity highlight here, just as I saw, because there's like not a lot of detail in that one little spot, so I'm just having to kind of spend a second curating it. Move over here. We're gonna go hit that top shelf right here. 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 This side has a lot of wacky shapes that you can get bogged down in. Really easy to get bogged down. Let's get a little bit wider. Let's reestablish right here. And so now I'm going to go through and just kind of pluck out with the super white. Some of the more like sharp bits of the highlight shelf. Not too bad. There's a couple spots I might want to. Let me see. No, I feel good about that. That's good. Down here, I need to do just a little bit more work, though. Did I miss anything in chat? No, we're good. Catman, what's up, brother? You got to sign up for the mail list with Mammoth. In addition to the free STL they always give away, you can get this Colossus that we're working on as part of our promotion together. So that's what's unique about that link to the mail list, the email list, is this Colossus is free STL for people who use it. Just doing our top shelf highlights. There we go. So, simple. OnePlus save, your sub didn't show? Did you finalize the final click of that? It says you're subbed. Yeah, we'll get you yo dogs if it doesn't sort itself out here in a second. All right, let's move into. Whew, good. Let's move into bicep territory right here. And honestly, our airbrushing kind of holds up in there. There we go. There we go. Shout out to my dude. 1+ saves. 1+ saves. So I feel like my airbrushing is good enough in there. So let's just go straight into the edge highlighting game. See what happens. Might have to go to the pin washing game first, actually. Let's grab some black, some blue, a little bit of water. Using the heart pull. Trying to get inside the crevasse. Right there. Be a little blacker. Yeah, I think I can get away with just some pin washing edge highlighting in this region. All right, let's move back to our highlight game. We're just using our kind of our safe highlight right now. It's a little wet and a little transparent, and that keeps it safe but harder to control. It can be smoother. And I'm kind of just going with the spines and the bevels of these rocks and popping them out. See that? A little darker right here, so I'm going to make a safer version of that highlight. Kind of box that joint out right there. Let's rinse down, rinse down. Val Needs. How was the birthday celebration from old lady Val Needs? It was awesome. She had a blast. Went out to celebrate with our friends at bar 1200. Got some drinks. Thank you for asking. She had a blast. She did some Pwn City streaming with us. So taking some almost white. And we're just cutting up some of the sharper peaks. Get the rock bicep. Professor Swolstein over here. And that's just like right over the airbrushing, no additional tweaking. Looks fine. It's the big smooth shit we need to work on, right? And you can see how much grayer this is versus this. That's by design, right? With the airbrushing, I allowed more of the turquoise to infiltrate. So it's constantly informing what I'm doing when I'm laying these glazes down. And taking us to this more neutral place, but still clearly cool, right? Just not as outwardly blue. Okay, let's see if we can get this right here. That's a big flat zone, not a lot of detail there. So that's going to be a little challenging. So let's just get something going here. I'm just kind of laying some colors out. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. You know, like a blue-black going. blacker. There we go. Frozen Hobbit. It's wild how much more detail the model looks to have compared to the pic provided. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, this is going to be... Okay, let me move this. So I'm going to drag my wet mix in right up against that seam right there. Semi-opaque and wet. Okay. Now I'm going to rinse that down. Move into something a little brighter and wet. I'm going to just stipple right off that border. Let the capillary effect blur the tide line as I move down. And see the grayness is really infiltrating it. As I stretch this out, like making it wetter and less opaque. I've added a touch of white. And it's not opaque, so as it dries, the blue that's there is going to really inform it. While also letting me get a little grayer. We get a little white. And I'm going to just deliberately kind of pop out our brightness factor down here a little bit more. Maybe a touch of the blue. Okay. I'm going to rinse the brush. Set it down for a second. It's still a little wet, and I think I can get away with some black lining while it's wet. Like right here are some holes. Gonna jam some black in those holes. Gonna run that seam of near black right along the trim zone right there. Kind of lock in the effect. Okay, so a little bit of drama there, and there's lots of little bumps and divots in there. There's a divot, so I'm using like a respectful shadow right here. There's like a little bit right here. I'm just going to stipple in and just kind of draw attention to things that I see in there. And it's funny because this arm is like the lowest amount of rock detail they've given me on this guy yet. So I'm going to have to really work for the shapes present within. Let's pick up some highlight. Just kind of a combination of our paints. So I'm just kind of sketching out where I think these should go. It's still a little wet, so it's a little dangerous. Just be careful. Observe what's happening with the paint. I'm going to get a little bit safer and more respectful on how much this highlight actually constitutes as a highlight as I move up into the darker real estate, like up here. You'll see. B-dubs to Rain and Forge, 57 months. We're going to run that inner bevel line right there. Pulling out all the stops. Let's rinse it down. Before I do any more white, I'm going to go blacker. And I'm going to promote some chipping here with some black stiples. And I don't have a lot, but I'm going to sharpen what I do have. I'm going to rinse it down. Some careful stippling here. With nearly white. There we go. Not a whole lot in there, but I try to just work with what I got. There's a little bit of a shape emerging right here. And I think I could work with that. Just kind of using my palette up and down, up and down. It's just darker, brighter, darker, brighter. It's a little rock, like I said, emerging right there. I want to see if I can get a little line going right here. Wow. Right? More interesting, right? What were you going to do? If you're going to wash and dry brush that gauntlet, what the fuck was going to happen in it? Like, what reasonably was going to occur there? Not to be a dry brush hater, but I kind of am. was a time though in my journey that's the only technique I knew. When I first saw it being performed on a chainmail model back in the day, on a chainmail model, coincidentally covered in chainmail, and I watched a guy at the hobby shop dry brushing mithril silver over the chainmail and like Bugs Bunny painting it, and it was like perfect, right? And I was like, "What the fuck is that? What are you doing?" And he kind of wanted to like hide it from me, like, "Well, no." I was like, "Okay, fuck everyone. I'm gonna make tutorials one day." Fucking hiding your fucking techniques from me. Okay. So we got to get this elbow armor sorted. Let's see here. Andrew's Armory says he didn't want you to outdo him at his own game store. I know. That's how it is. Yeah, fuck him. Be shit. Frozen Hobbit. Keep inspiring teaching. Thanks for not hoarding knowledge. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for the tip. I appreciate that. It's very validating. Find value in my content. Everything I teach is on the internet in a kind of a free-to-play grind model. If you want to go and you find all my YouTube videos and all my Twitch live streams, you can be there for all of that. But my pay-to-win model is Patreon. Yeah, Mo's Magic. It's game-changing. All right, let's see what we can do here. Frozen Hobbit. Let's see if we can lay some shadow action down right here. Here, semi-opaque and a little wet. Just kind of rinse some of that off. Pick up some of this midfield highlight game. Just jam it right in there. Jam it right in there for a little drama. Maybe pick some white up into that mess. A little wet, or a little opaque. I'm going a little wetter now. Kind of get that capillary blur, the low opacity wet glaze. See a little bit more forcing the drama right there. Let's grab some of this mix right here. I'm just kind of finalizing the highlight portion of this with a semi-wet ghetto stipple / etch highlight right there. Just building that up to be a little bit more precise. Rinse. Let's pick up some of the straight black. A little bit of moisture. Touch of the blue. And let's grab a nice dark border between the red and the stone right there. Here's some of our cog pattern shit right here. Our melty trim. Right there. There are some divots. Let me get a little blacker. Divot, divot. I'm just finding the little holes, darkening them. Gonna throw some texture down here. Too easy. Rinse, 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 rinse. Pick out some highlight. Maybe a little bit more white, a little bit more opacity, a little bit less moisture. Some under stipple in right there. Too easy. Let's get a little bit more respect engineered in. Let's rotate. Let's see if we can do a little line right here. Gotta box that armor panel out. Rotate this way. Let's get a nice clean heart pull. Right there. Ping. This is trickier because of the cog pattern. Leaving the shadow intact, but also giving it a nice beveled line. Respect, respect. Here's a little bit more white in the mix. Some random stippling right there. Moving this way. Here's some spikes that we got to address. I'm going to go back in time. A little bit more respectful. Moving down. Heart pull. Heart pull. Right there. Too easy. There's like a little rock action right here. I'm gonna just stipple these guys because they're almost black still. Going back to a darker gray and just stippling on these guys so it can't be said that I forgot about them. Now here's the thing. Anybody just tuning in, if you're confused by this, if blending is elusive, right? If like all this blending I'm doing, you're like, yeah, but okay, that's the how. It helps to think of everything as just a brighter and darker version of itself and don't overcomplicate it, right? It's black and white. This entire paint job is literally black and white with a touch of this blue in there to cool it up. So the only reason the gray is here is to simulate the combination of these two and also just convenience. You don't even need that. It's just that. So it's some version of this on a scale, going from dark to white. And you see all my piles are just kind of representations of, do I need to go dark? Do I need to go bright? And sometimes it's like the wrong amount of blue. Sometimes I'm not using the correct amount of blue to keep it consistent, but it doesn't matter. It's going to ride. And I use my airbrush to build up everything. It was black, it was gray, it had blue injected in it. I did all this airbrushing. And so as I'm slinging this wet glaze technique over my airbrushing, the consistency is already established. The coverage is already there. This is like probably less than 50% coverage. What I'm doing here is probably covering less than 50% of the surface area, but there's an illusion like where I'm repainting it. I'm not. Simply put, I'm not. I'm operating well below 100% opacity at all times. So right out the gate, all of this is still showing through in some way. I've never once laid down an opaque stroke since we've painted on this guy. Even when I'm doing those final edge highlights, they're probably like 88% opaque. They're not actually opaque. So this information is constantly and consistently informing my lack of consistency here. So the only thing I'm consistently doing is dark, bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, and that's it. And so if how I'm doing these lines that to make them look three-dimensional, first off, those are actual textures in the model. But how I'm reinforcing it is akin to our 3D scratching tutorials we do, where I have a dark line, and then the top shelf of the lower panel has a highlight on top. So it's always dark opposes light, but the light line is the top shelf of everything. That's why I call it the top shelf highlight. And when you really take a second to acknowledge, there's the top shelf, there's the top shelf, there's the top shelf, encapsulated in dark, encapsulated in dark. So dark opposed by light, dark opposed by light, but the light is only ever on the top shelf. And you constantly just keep moving down, doing that with the edge highlight pen washing technique, and then you get a result like this. So it's basically the 3D scratching techniques modified to an actual three-dimensional surface where we don't have to create the illusion of three-dimensionality. It is there. We are augmenting it and cheating the contrast to make it appear more sharp than it really is. Because this is, while three-dimensional, much softer than the image might suggest to you. Those textures are not nearly that rigid, not nearly that sharp. We are faking it through artistic license. And if this is all crazy new concepts to you, this is an effect. I teach this in my 201 curriculum. The 101 curriculum is all about airbrushing, moisture management, washing, and edge highlighting. LT, it's literally 100% black and white with some color added. Okay. I'm excited to get this gauntlet done so we can do the red trim. So we have to do the outer side. This is the first one that we have some extra bonus shit on here. So this is going to be fun to figure out what that's all about. So okay. So here's our neutral. Here's our dark. Here's some blue slung in. You see? Everything exists on this spectrum. There's some white over here. So I'm going to maintain semi-opacity and a little bit of wetness. And I'm going to just kind of dramatize these sections. So he's got the wrist guard here. So let's work that area first. Let's define that shape. So I'm going to get something kind of in the middle, and I'm just going to quickly repaint this section with really wet, not opaque paint and keep it to like a rectangle shape that it is. See, I'm going to pull that off of the rest of the gauntlet. Now I'm going to pull some white in. I'm just going to kind of drag it into top using the capillary effect of moisture to really brighten it up here. Just stipple, 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 stipple right here. Just lifting that off the model. Maybe take a touch of blue. Just infiltrate some blue in the midfield here. Maybe a little bit more white. Up here. I'm going to rinse the brush. Now I'm going to reset. I'm going to grab some more black, get a little bit darker of a position, and I'm going to literally just pop in, maybe a little darker than that. I'm going to bring a nice dark border right here. You see that? And like establish that that is not a part of this next shapes I'm working on. So now I have to kind of shade from two directions, you see? Because I want that border there, but I also want to start bringing the highlight out right here. So I'm going to stipple into my shadow right here to soften it, like so. Bring some highlight into the game. Right here. But there's other shapes up here now. See, I got this shape popping right here. This shape right here. And that shape right there. All of those, I can see those with my eyes. While they are soft, they're there. And so I'm going to encourage them. I'm going to downgrade brush size while it's still wet. Pull up some shadow color. And just kind of box them out. And it's harder when it's wet like this. You just have to understand how the moisture is trying to behave and just work with it. I'm going to stipple right here. It's easier to do this afterwards, but I just want to kind of drive it home in real time. You see, I'm just defining those shapes. And because it's still wet, I'm able to just blur right into what we've already done pretty respectfully. Now I'm going to use this, keeping with the small brush strategy. give this rock a little bit more love, a little bit more dimension right here. Let's pull some white out. Maybe a little bit more. There's our top shelf highlight. You see that? And you can even see there's like a shape right here. Right there. Right there. Just kind of winging it sometimes, but other times there's really easy shapes that you can see if you pay attention. I want to soften that Crayola line I just made with some stippling. Right there. And so I got my overlay of desaturation. That's pretty good. I'll come back and do our detail work in a minute. Let's take a look at what's going on. See, like as it wraps around, you can see there's a little bit of action down here, right? Some shapes in there. Up to no good. What's up, man? Using my big brush right here. Let's get some stippling going right here. Funny because there's definitely some trim here I definitely need to come back to, I think, in paint. I'm going a little bit more opaque right there. I want it to be a little bit more dynamic. Okay, reverse the brush. Run it back to the little guy. Let's define some edges a little bit more. Little high opacity stippling right there. Popping some of these edges out. That's the top shelf highlight. Now I could soften that in some areas that might be a little aggressive. So we'll just knock it down in opacity and value and just kind of blur the line where you think it's a little crazy. A little glaze edit strategy. Pow, pow, pow. Now, this gauntlet is kind of a situation here. And I feel like this is going to be a little tricky right here in this little spot. We have to kind of define the edge here, but I see where I'm going to need to put red trim here. So a lot of this texture is actually that trim, and I guess failed to deploy it when I was painting in red earlier. Let's get a little bit of a dark and see if there's any texture in here. So there's always textures, so I can see where there are divots and things like that. And I'm just kind of calling attention to them right now. Go back to something a little brighter, and I'm gonna stipple right under them. To get that three-dimensional quality. And then the trim is going to be honestly what sells that piece more. I'm going to soften my line a little bit in a couple spots still. Because it's a little gangster. All right, so I'm going to take a quick side quest and get that red locked in real quick. Okay? Demeki in the chat. That's my dude right there. What's up, brother? Thanks for the F-Shack, signed Dirty Mike. Dirty Meki and the boys. Get your shirt yet? I haven't got mine yet, so I doubt it. It's my own shit, too. Okay, so burgundy is the color. I'm pretty sure I did some other creative stuff with burgundy. I feel like... Didn't we use, like, blue? God damn it. Or black? I'll probably use black. I'm just going to say black. Fuck it. It won't matter. So here's some black and burgundy. Maybe there was blue in it. And I'm going to paint this clockwork style, like, cog bullshit in. That I for some reason didn't paint the first time. And I'm going to have to kind of fake it right here. And that's kind of been the name of the game on this model. Is trying to define things that are very low in definition. Like it was obviously trim at one point and then it melted away. So I'm trying to reestablish that. It has a bit of a drippy pattern to it too. I'm just carefully, with high opacity, low moisture, just stippling my way over this trim that is a fucking cogwheel of trim. And sometimes it looks like it has a border and sometimes it doesn't. Oh shit. True American Hero War Pigment. The True American Hero says, watch paint dry sucks. Watching paint dry sucks. Yeah, you're right. All right, let's ramp it up for War Pigment. War Pigment, let's not watch paint dry. Let's get some more burgundy down here. some raw burgundy, and let's see if we can kind of make this trim not suck. So it was burgundy and black with a little bit of blue mixed in was my laydown, and now we're just kind of ramping it up. A little pure burgundy. And just kind of stippling over what I've done, but I'm not necessarily repainting it all. I'm letting some of that volume exist in there from the darker position. Demeki just gifted 20 subs to my chat. Oh my god, dude. Demeki, you fucking gangster. Demeki over at Dice Check. So generous. If you just got gifted a sub from Demeki, just wait a minute, because it's going to be 20 names that get shouted out right here. Show that man some love. Maybe give Demeki a follow on Twitch. And I think he just picked up 2,000 yo dogs. Is that how math works? Shout out to my man Demeki. Demeki has been streaming too, and he just recently had a baby, and I think he's just recently gotten back into the Beats Lab swing of things. Have you been streaming any tile content, Demeki? And real quick, what I'm doing is just bringing in another top coat of burgundy over some of my trim to help wipe out any overspray that came from that yellow step right there. We take a little black and burgundy again. Yesterday we sprayed in some like yellow highlights and, you know, got a little on the red, but I'm fixing that right now. Want to carefully sneak in under the old hand here. Airbrushing, so easy and cheaty. Airbrushing is not really painting, guys. Straight bullshit. Don't do it. Just made all this extra work for me, dog. It's not even worth it. See how much time I just wasted there? Pow, son. Press that down. Demeki in the chat. What up? Anybody who just got sent a gifted sub? Again. Does Demeki have his own Twitch, Go Boy? Yeah, he does. I mean, I think so. I feel like I've seen him streaming. Yeah. Looks like he was playing video games last month. So he's been taking a hobby break, it looks like. And I'm assuming that's because of the baby. He can answer all your questions. He's in chat. My man Goobertown Hobbies in the chat. My dude Brent, the legend. Brent, we're painting this Colossus, dog. Just keeping it cheaty as fuck, man. Just a little airbrushing, a little random wash here and there. Fucking off to the races. Too easy. man, the myth, the legend, Goobertown Hobbies. The most interesting man / most handsome man in Warhammer 40k. / most muscular. Or I guess in the painting game. Because I've seen some really jacked dudes in Warhammer 40k. Some like 6'6" dudes with big ass muscles. Anthony Birdsong, for example, if you guys know him, he's a pretty competitive store owner. He's awesome, dude. Dude's gigantic. And we're just bringing this new burgundy from Monument Hobbies in and just reinforcing, getting ready to do some baller-ass highlight in here. And I'm also taking the opportunity to wipe out any overspray from any cheaty airbrushing I did. Go. Keeping it real cash. Okay. So we just locked that in. So did the chest. So we're doing the wet glazing over the airbrush. And you can see this is all in its airbrush state down here. And all this shit, we just did some quick wet glazing technique right over. Real simple. And now I'm gonna pop out these shoulder pads, and I love the burgundy because you just add white to burgundy, and look how fucking awesome this color is. Beautiful color. So we're gonna make it a nice, respectful highlight. We're just gonna use real quick, pretty opaque strokes. And we're just gonna lay in some nice highlights, like so. Using pretty high opacity, low moisture, some just basic heart pull strategies right here. Stay in control. Real basic. We didn't add a ton of white to this mix. It's just brighter. It's just a little brighter. And even if it's a little too excessive, that's not a problem. It's easy to fix. So here I'm doing like kind of a double-sided highlight right there. We're going to have to do some fake defining of borders here. If you're just tuning into this project, this guy is not really meant to be painted this way. He's got a ton of detail that blurs into a ton of detail because he's like a molten slag behemoth who's like probably just risen out of a pile of lava. And so the definition is kind of blended into itself. And I'm always like, I'm going to paint it different. Zero Meyer. How did I miss the orange paint job? Ballin' as always. Zero Meyer, you talk about the Astral Tiger we did? Here's the trickier spot. Right here. We're going to do a double-edged highlight right here to find that strip. Real soft bevels that we're just kind of cheating on right now. There we go. I'm going to rinse down a little bit. War Pigment just gifted a sub as well. Ancient Bane. Let me get some love in the chat for War Pigment. 100 bonus dogs and Gat ZJ. Nice. What's up? The one that I'm painting now? Oh, it's only a slight amount of orange in that, dude. Mostly ochre and brown. Slight glaze of orange. Let's go back to just stock burgundy, maybe a little wet. And I'm going to use this to blend, like repair any two jarring highlight lines. They look looking a little Crayola. I'm just going to kind of glaze right up against them to kind of knock them down. Okay, I'm going to rinse the brush. War Pigment, 10 of 15. So we have a subscriber giveaway today. Shout out to Demeki and War Pigment. Let me get a little more white in my mix right here. So that's the burgundy white mix. Downgrading to a smaller brush. And now I'm going to just pop some edges out with a little bit more precision. Right there. High opacity, low moisture. Right there. Light brush pressure. I got a little gangster right there, so let me just instantly grab burgundy. Kind of just drag it in. Go. Okay. Precise. Heart pull, rotate, tip of the brush. Right there. Right there. Wow. Right there. Ping, ping, ping. Look at that shit, man. God, painting. So fucking easy. High opacity, low moisture. Here we go. Rotate the model. Pull back to your heart. And half the reason this is working is because I'm respecting it, right? It was burgundy, then it was burgundy with some white, burgundy with more white. And you're getting that nice cling cling comic effect. You didn't need to find a new color. This works. Burgundy loves having a little white mixed in. It gives you this really solid purple kind of spectrum without really desaturating. It's beautiful. I mean, it's desaturated, but it's not like awful. You see, there's our kind of like having to define that gauntlet. Let's hit the clockwork bullshit here, the cogs. Some stipples right there. Maybe just a little bit whiter for a couple final explosions. Can I look up Yo Dog balance as a mod? Can you not look up your balance? What's the real question, War Pigment? Like, what's your intent here? Is that a Riverstone guy or what, Trotskadizzle? A Riverstone? What does that mean? I mean, like, is he, like, made of Riverstones? Sure. Fuck yeah. I'm with it. A couple of ping, ping, ping. We're going to quick tracer right there. Right there. Right there. Maybe a little bit more white. Kind of faking that line right there. May have to run back in time a little bit of moisture. Kind of soften that line a little bit. I'll take it. I'll take it. There's still a little bit more work to do. What game is he from? This is from Mammoth, exclamation point Mammoth. If you want a free STL of this exact model, all you do is sign up on their mailing list. You actually get 2 STLs from that link. You get the Mammoth STL and the Colossus. That's part of our promotion here. You normally don't get this STL free. They put out a bunch of little like squadron-sized groupings of models, like very D&D module-esque. They put out the STLs and a lore pack to go with the units. And it's always like a big guy and some support guys. Like I said, very D&D motivated. I went through their catalog, picked this guy out to paint. They really couldn't support me with a bunch of models to give away, but what we did was worked out a deal where you can get this STL for free by signing up, your email, check, get it in the mail. 40 Crayfish, what's up, man? And so it's part of like a lava group of people. Here's his base. We already did it. And see this stonework up, coincidentally, is literally the exact stonework up on him. Same colors. So I was motivated to keep him in that like stone golem spectrum. Like a fucking dwarven construct or some shit. And they were looking to have something painted by me, and I went to their Instagram page, and I picked it, or they sent me a catalog, and I picked that guy out. They're like, well, somebody already painted that guy. Do you want to pick something else? And again, if you're new here, so like if you go to Mammoth Factory on Instagram, somebody in the community, I'm not sure who's who, already painted one of these Colossuses, and you can see the theme thematically of this grouping is like, he was probably like a big metal behemoth, and it's like you can see by this effect that there isn't a lot of definition while there's a lot of detail, and it's like he is molten, right? He is melting. He's the slag is dripping off of him, and you can see that in this effect, right? Well, when I looked at the raw STL of this guy from the catalog, I was like, well, he's got so much detail, that's a shame to paint him that way. And they were like, well, it's really good. And I was like, well, when I'm done with mine, you're not going to think so. And they're like, all right. And so I'm like, the guy, to me, is a comic book character. When you look at this guy's proportions, these jacked, huge gauntlets, huge boots, small head, giant shoulders, that's very Joe Mattarian, Age of Apocalypse, And I'm like, there's so much going on. I feel like it's a shame to lean on that effect. And with just some tricks of the trade, look at how much definition we're able to pull out of this guy, right? It's a shame to like hide all this detail. Trotsky Dizzle, Age of Apocalypse is the GOAT. Look, and I'll even show you guys right here. And Coward Goes Wild. Did you write Coward or Crowd? I feel like she's trolling me. Love minis. The greatest mod. Love minis. Here we go. We're going to take some white. transparent yellow, a little of the ochre. Gonna make like a new bright highlight. If possible, here we go. Love minis. Check it out. So I'm highlighting the outer wall, kind of on the dark sides of my little shine line. Let's bring a more defined line in right here. Okay. Now this is where it's going to get tricky, a little harder. I'm going to put a line here using the heart pull. Here. And now even more annoying, here. So this is a non-metal metallic effect. The techniques I used were glazing, wet blending, pin washing, and edge highlighting. The procedures simply tri-blend, dark must oppose light on every plane shift. With just that, it already looks good, right? It's not yellow enough though, but we'll get there. We're gonna get a little whiter. Added more white to the brush. We still have 7.5 minutes left. Thank you guys for your support today. Love minis. I really do appreciate it. Love minis. Check it out. Rottweiler, check it out. That's more white. A bit of white right there. Okay. Rinse, 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 rinse. Okay, let's go back to our pin wash, that black-brown mix. Let's put a little of the transparent orange in the mix just for fun. Let's rebuild right here. Okay. Rinse again. Let's pick up some transparent yellow. And we're just going to brush some transparent yellow right into the midfield. You see it, you're going to start to see it yellow up. See that? And his name is John C. Yellow up. Yellow up. Yo, McCool, my dude. Can I get some strong man love in the chat from my boy McCool? Says looking forward to getting the first gift bag delivery. Fingers crossed it brings some of that LA sunshine with it. Bro, it was 98 yesterday. Felt real good. Let me get some strong man love right there, bro. I'll get your back, homie. And I owe you a beanie, dude. This dude was like, oh, don't worry about it. I live in another country. I was like, bro, I'm going to send you your shit, dude. Guy's amazing. Gentleman and a scholar. Thank you, McCool. I do appreciate the support. Now, McCool, you see how I just got it? I got the yellow to ramp up just with a little bit of that glaze technique, right? Now I want to get a little bit of, sneak a little orange in the midfield. So let's grab some of the transparent orange. Let some of it mingle with the yellow. Add a little bit of water to it, and I'm just going to send a little bit of orange in the shadow area. See that? Instant. Wow, son, look at that complexity. Literally, it's ochre and brown and white. And then only at the very end do I breathe any saturated yellows and oranges into it. See that? Now, the sidewall is going to be a bit of a problem. I think I'm going to slack on it. We got 420 left in the show. Let's grab some highlight. I'm going to find just like a respectful mix of highlight action here. And here I just got to carefully drag some little lines in here. This is going to suck, but I'm going to fuck it up for sure, but you'll see. See, we can't just let the side not have anything. Haha, love minis. Love minis sending her love. Whoop, whoop. If it ain't red, don't take it at the shed. Love minis. Famous quote. And war pigment. Let me get some hype in the chat for these two legends. The bot will certainly be shitting upon one of them. Now you see how I'm dragging these lines in real quick? Real lazy. Not really going to do too much more. I'm going to make sure they're clean for sure. You see, I'm going to run the fake line down here. Okay. Then I'm not going to go in and do a bunch of crossfades on those little panels. That's just a goddamn nightmare and unnecessary to make it look good. What I am going to do, War Pigment and Love Minis with 2.5 minutes left, is I'm going to go back to the pin wash. Just make sure we have a good, strong pin wash. Be a little bit more black. Rottweiler, my dude. Rottweiler says, because you love the Horus Heresy books. Yeah, for $6, I'll say it. For $6, I'll say anything. Practically, within reason. Look at that, Rottweiler. Thank you. Now maybe I'll take some of the orange and yellow and glaze it into these little panels. The transparent orange and yellow. Take them off that muddy brown we left it. Feel like I need a highlight right here. Can't see him. Can't see him. It's Frozen Hobbit. Miracle Whip isn't mayo, damn it. It's goblin jizz, he says. Exclamation point, real mail. I don't make the rules. Exclamation point, real mail. Let's see what the boss says. Shout out to Frozen Hobbit. We are in overtime, 2 minutes overtime, and I feel like we've done a pretty good job on these corkscrews, barrel nuts. Quick, easy effect. So everything else is just, we did mostly with the airbrush. That's the first time we had to use our paintbrush in a real way on any of the yellow ochre stuff.
Dirty Mike and the boys?
Hashtag Dirty Mike Life, exclamation point, soup. Love minis triggering the legendary Dirty Mike gif. Cheese Tag, exclamation point Mammoth, baby. You know what's up. Miffy in chat. That's rock and roll. How are things, my brother? We're just trying to get through it, brother. Miffy knows. 2 minutes overtime on the clock. McCool, what's up, player?
Get swifty in here. It's time to get swifty. We gotta get swifty.
Gotta get swifty, baby. We're in overtime. McCool says, hold off on the gift bag delivery till next month, please. K, I'm looking good for our tier 6 this month. And when I add it to that shipment, I got your back, dog. Thank you for the support. With 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left. Mo's Magic said that my bot doesn't count. Okay. Are you trying to say I'm the bot master? War Pigment, dog. What up, player? Here's a little bit more highlight, War Pigment. Okay, we got 2 minutes left. And I just want to make this a little bit sharper right here. Okay. And now he's got him. So we got to do that, a version of that on a lot of stuff here. Okay, you see all this gold junk. I'm going to slack on a lot of it. I'm not going to fucking lie. I'm going to totally slack on a lot of the fucking metallic stuff. I'm going to channel the essence of a non-metal metallic in its most lazy way on most of this. Okay? But it's still going to look sick. Sometimes I'm not down to wet blend and tri blend every fucking surface to precision, you know. I'll do some. I'll the bones, plane shifting, light opposes dark. Exclamation point, real mayo. Rottweiler says mayo is bomb. Mayo with wasabi is life. Hashtag frozen high. Rottweiler, thank you. We're still in overtime. Fly Monkey Paints. He is an authority on painting. He says lazy non-metal metallic is the best. So, for example, we just airbrushed that shit, right? Fly Monkey Paints is a black belt, 3rd degree black belt in my system. He is incredible. He can teach my classes. And he has done a lot of great stuff, and he's intimate with the techniques, and he knows how he probably knows without watching that I blocked that shit in and then airbrushed it real quick, and then I'm just going to go in and just sculpt in some lazy pin washes using some combination of what I airbrushed. Some black, some transparent brown. And what I'll do is define borders, right, on this stuff, and I'll get in real tight, semi-opaque and a little wet, and I'll start pulling elements of the knuckles away from other elements, and I'll do it by respecting it at first and then ramping up how dark I'm willing to go as I move in there. You see that? How instantly? How that looks like instantly? Want to respect it as you move into the brighter real estate with 39 seconds left in our overtime clock. A little bit more respect right there. A little bit of respect there. And the thing is, if I fuck this up, I'm not too worried about it because I can glaze it back into obedience. But with some dark lines and some really bright lines to oppose it, it'll probably be all I need. And that's just 2 seconds of pen washing, and you can almost let that ride, right? 6 seconds, 3 seconds. And that's it, baby. Thank you guys for your support today. We'll continue the saga of the Colossus, Age of Apocalypse Colossus for Mammoth on Tuesday. We'll keep this journey going. We're flying through this model despite its complexity and size. We're going to be record time on a model like this.